I am a first-class girl. Even my name is special. Felicia O'Neill. So I cannot be with just any guy. Besides, I am a student of college, and I hardly have time to look for a man who is going to be the one for me. My friends have told me about Tinder, and I find it rather interesting. All you need to do is sign up and wait for a guy. It's really great. You already know what guy you'll have, the color of his hair, even the shape of his eyebrows. You can state that you want a man with good taste in clothes, a six-pack, and that he must be a fan of Paco Rabanne Million perfume. So, I downloaded the application, signed up, and what do you think? I found him immediately. I saw his photos and wanted to meet him. He looked handsome and well-mannered. What an amazing application! I felt so happy that I shared the link to his account on my Instagram. We talked with Ben the whole night, wrote compliments to each other. I even sent a kiss to say goodnight to him. We agreed to meet at a fancy restaurant. I put on my best dress and sexiest lingerie and sprinkled my eyes with lemon to make them sparkle. When I was sitting at the restaurant waiting for my date, a man looking like a maniac joined me at the table. I tried to explain to him that I was waiting for someone, but he kept telling me something, and then I realized that it was him. He was my date. But how could it be? This one was a Latina with dark curly hair and a very ordinary face. Definitely not the guy I saw in the photo. I thought it was a mistake or someone's bad joke. However, the guy showed me the photo and even looked hurt. He pointed at a man standing behind the handsome guy I had expected to see, and that was him. So he wasn't actually lying that he was at the photo, but I couldn't believe that he was the man I had been talking to all night. The evening was ruined. Even more, he had a horrible accent that made understanding of his words rather difficult. Okay, my evening was definitely ruined. But what if I played him, too? I pretended that I still wanted to have dinner with him, no matter what had happened. First, I took my telephone and called someone. During the call, I was talking loudly and said that I was going to a business trip. And I added, "I'll be back in a few days. Love you." I told Ben that it was my husband, and that now I was free to spend the evening with him. He was surprised by the fact that I was married. He probably thought, okay, this hot blondie is married. Maybe it's even better. He seemed happy and called the waiter to make an order. I ordered plenty of food. He asked me if I were a gourmet. I explained that I was pregnant and starving. He was surprised even more, but didn't mind. He probably thought, okay, she's married and pregnant. Anyway, all I want is to take her to the hotel. Then he offered me a drink. I agreed and mentioned that if I drank, I would not have to get tested the next day. He didn't even seem to care. We talked and had dinner. I tried to mention the tests as often as possible. Finally, he paid attention to that, but asked nothing. We arrived at the hotel and were going to book a room when he suddenly asked me about the tests. I said I had to get retested for HIV the next morning, but as I drank some wine with him, I could go to the hospital later. He was shocked. He probably thought, what? HIV? Go to hell, you crazy chick. I'm gonna leave right now. I spent that night at the hotel alone, and I slept like a baby. Well, that's the experience I had with the dating site. Hi, my name is Nancy. My boyfriend, Steve, who I love insanely, always looks back at other girls. Sometimes he even openly admires them. I'm devastated to see that. That's my problem. At first, I was hysterical, but Steve would just disappear for a few days. Then I decided to be positive and gave him all sorts of nice surprises and gifts. But in the end, he dumped me. Usually, when I feel bad, I go for a walk in the park and try to distract myself from my thoughts. I was surprised when the old lady next to me started talking. She introduced herself as Goody and said that I needed good advice, and said she could help me. When I saw her intelligent face, for some reason I trusted her and told her my story. When she listened, she said that she saw no problem, and if I paid $100, she would give me good advice. Because good advice costs money, I was outraged and proudly left. I kept suffering until I remembered that old lady's intelligent face. I took money from my mother, went to the park. To my surprise, old lady Goody was there. When she got the money, she said, "You know what, baby? You look like I already read book. You're not interesting to talk to anymore. You're nothing. So your Steve lost interest in you." What? So I paid the money to hear insults about me? I told her a bunch of insults like, "And what you've accomplished in life? You're probably living on a tiny pension," and left. Then she shouted after me to bring another $100 and I'll get the most important advice. But I kept thinking about Steve. It was impossible not to fall in love with him. In the beginning, he was a fountain of jokes, pranks, funny and cute words, and all of them were dedicated only to me. One day, I saw that old lady on the social networks. I don't know, maybe it just seemed like that. Then, after all, I decided to go to her. She had a very intelligent face after all. When I came to the park, she was already there. And she also scolded me for deciding so long. Instead of insulting me, she asked me what I love most in life. I began to tell her that as a child, I loved to run, climb trees, and read all day long, doing sports. The old woman said, "You have to do your favorite thing to become yourself, to be filled with life, the strongest emotions, energy. Then your life will change in a way that you could not imagine even in the most daring fantasies." I understood what to do. I opened the gym and filled it with exercise equipment and became a fitness trainer. Apparently, I took up this business with great enthusiasm that people fell for me. My life was spent training, communicating with clients who became my friends. In short, my life has changed by 180 degrees. At Christmas, we had a loud party for the opening of the new gym. We invited the mayor of the city, media representatives, and other organizations for a healthy lifestyle. My old lady, Mrs. Goody Claus, also came to give a speech and gave me a $1,000 certificate. And as for Steve, he's our promoter and he hands out flyers. Every once in a while, Steve calls me and asks for a relationship with him. Well, I don't know what to do. Like, write a comment, and don't forget to subscribe.
Hi, I'm Mariana. I have a twin sister, Brianna. We are 18 years old. Our relatives got confused sometimes because we look so much alike. By nature, my youngest sister is sharper and more positive, and I'm calmer, but our tastes are the same. And even so, it turned out that we both fell in love with the same guy. Brianna still doesn't know that, and I found it out just recently. It happened so. A few months ago, I met a guy on social media. I liked him right away, then we decided to meet. He was a nice, smart, and sociable guy, just as my dream guy, and his name was Michael. He charmed me every time when we were together, and I fell in love. Then I told about my immeasurable happiness to Brianna. In turn, Brianna also said that she had found your love too. And the most amazing thing was that his name was Michael too, but we didn't pay attention to that and just laughed on that. So we decided to have a date and meet all together, 4 of us. But it wasn't possible. One day, my boyfriend was busy, the other day Brianna's, but we didn't particularly overthink on that. We thought that someday we would definitely meet each other. When we talked about our boyfriends, it seemed as we were talking about the same person. Being happy, we didn't even notice that so much time had passed. A week ago, I witnessed an unpleasant picture and still cannot believe it is real. Passing by coffee, I saw Brianna and Michael, my boyfriend. At first, I was happy. I wanted to run to them and say that this is my boyfriend. But when I saw their sweet talk, I realized that 2 different Michaels is one person. In the evening, I talked to Michael. He didn't even deny it. It turned out that he had known us for a long time and wanted to make a joke. But this joke went so far that he himself didn't know how to get out of the situation. I broke with him right away. Then I decided to tell my sister about everything, but she didn't answer my calls. It wasn't like her, it was a strange feeling actually. But a day later, Brianna called me and she was very sad. As soon as she began the conversation, she started to cry and asked to forgive her. I listened to her, barely understanding what she was talking about, and after she finished, I didn't know what to do. It turns out that Brianna continued to meet with Michael after his deception. She thought one day he would choose one of us and believed in a happy end, but she wasn't patient enough. So it turned out that he was meeting with another girl and she saw it with her own eyes. Of course, she made a mistake, but I wasn't angry. The only person to blame in this situation was Michael, as his evil joke almost ruined our sisterhood. It was definitely a good lesson for both of us. After all, we decided to be more careful in choosing and dating with guys.
Hi, I'm Tina. I want to tell you a cautionary tale for my life. The point is that I was too trusting. I ended up getting a knife in the back from the closest people to me. Music has been a part of my life ever since I was a kid. I felt like I was going to get lost without music. I love singing and composing songs. Unfortunately, my parents didn't take my abilities seriously. In childhood, they thought it was just a fun, but when I grew up, they opposed it. In their opinion, a singer is not a serious profession for a girl. Only my aunt saw my potential, saw my talent, and supported me every possible way, which I'm infinitely grateful for. She managed to change the opinion of my parents. After a discussion between us, I signed up for a vocal course. My eyes were shining with happiness. I met new friends. There where I met him, the man who conquered my heart. From each meeting, I was falling in love more and more. His voice seemed special. He was caring, attentive, and charismatic. And by the way, he was also dreaming of becoming a popular singer. We had a good time with him. We used to stay at home after the courses and continue to study the music. I like to write songs inspired by his energy, especially when he's playing guitar. Together, we recorded a song about our love. It was our own piece of music. Then, we posted on social networks YouTube. From the first minutes of downloading, the views and ratings started to grow very rapidly. We were so excited about what was going on. Its popularity was growing rapidly, and everyone started to recognize it. Everything was going well, nothing foretold troubles. But one day, when we were sitting at my home, he went outside, leaving his phone. The phone was starting to browse from messages, and I couldn't help myself. Curiously got the best of me, and I read those messages. To say I was shocked would be an understatement. Messages from different girls shocked me. It was very difficult to hold back tears and emotions. Of course, when he entered, I asked for explanations. He didn't even deny it. After that accident, we started to have a lot of careless on jealousy. He became a totally different person. I was naive, thinking that fame and glory do not spoil the people. I was wrong. Patrick became very rude, arrogant, and narcissistic. He was increasingly surrounded by different girls. I kept trying to justify him. I loved him. Once, walking in the park, we met my childhood friend. I introduced them to each other. We talked for a little bit and promised that we would text each other. I noticed something suspicious between them at the first meeting. And the next day, I saw her in my boyfriend's subscriptions. There were mutual likes and even comments. It made me a little worried. But she was my childhood friend, and I trusted Patrick and was sure about him. In the evening, trying to distract myself, I turned on the TV and I saw the Patrick's interviews. He was telling that he was the author of our songs, the songs that help us to achieve success. I was furious at what I saw, and in a fit of anger, I ran out on the street. I didn't even notice how I got to the center. As I walked past the restaurants, I saw Patrick with my childhood friend. They were sitting close to each other, chatting nicely and flirting, and suddenly they kissed each other. It was a double blow for me. I was disappointed. I could not even imagine my closest friend would do that to me. I couldn't hold back my tears. I didn't really care, and I lost my interest in everything. I dropped out of school, stopped talking to my relatives, I closed myself down and separated myself from the outside world. I even gave up the music and stopped writing songs. I've been going through all sorts of revenges in my head. I told the whole story to the smallest details to my aunt, whom I trust all my secrets, and about my plans to give them the same amount of pain. My aunt said, "Revenge is a bad motivation. If I were you, I would be the best version of myself and make him wish he hadn't been with the best girl in the world of his life." These words inspired me. She always finds the right words. And I said to myself, I will not regret the past anymore, and I will work on myself and my future. I started to study vocal more diligently, recording my songs. Soon, I released my first album. The audience accepted me and my songs began to become hits. I believed in myself. As soon as I felt happy, the ex came crawling right away. He started calling, writing, giving flowers like never before. But he was in the past. I had already learned to be happy without him.
Could you tell us how to build a happy family? I fell in love with him at first sight. He was handsome, charismatic, confident, and with a very good sense of humor. Really? I thought I won your love with great difficulty. But it turns out I was charmed by you. In fact, she was always sweet and very caring. Imagine that she brought me different goodies and shared with others every day when we were friends. All my friends were envious.
Wow!
I put experiments on them. Just kidding. I always liked to take care of him, cook for him, make surprises, and give presents. Yeah, sometimes just like a little child. She remembers all the dates and every time she puts me in an awkward position with her surprises. And I'm an ignoramus. I always forget everything. I just love you, and I want you to be happy. Yes, but sometimes this love was so much that it seemed to me that I was drowning. Okay, and let's dig deeper into more details from now. I wanted to spend only all my spare time with him. At first it was great, but over time she messaged, called, asked where I was almost every minute. It turned into some kind of nightmare. I didn't want to let him go. We talked with him at night, messaged every minute. I wanted to share with him every event of my life. When we were gathering with friends or playing PlayStation, she asked me not to go with them, offering something of her own, going to the cinema or having a walk in the park. And sometimes she begs to take her with me. I always refused because I did not like the fact that she was embarrassing me in front of my friends. I was usually buying movie tickets for us in advance, trying to make him happy on the weekends, and sometimes checked my phone and even asked for a password from my social networks. But it is something personal. Of course I trusted him, but I was interested in what he stores on his phone. She asked me such stupid questions, making me guess of what had changed in her. I always tried to look better for him, but over time, it seemed to me that he stopped paying attention to me. Some of her actions just pissed me off. Once she asked me to pick her up after a meeting with her friends and take her home. I promised to pick her up, but I was with a friend. When we arrived, she asked my friend to change his seat and sit at the back of the car. A friend moved without arguing, but I was shocked by her arrogance. It was absolutely not respectful in relation to me, first of all. He stopped answering my calls and started to disappear from time to time. I decided to punish her a little, did not answer her calls and messages. I did not understand why he was ignoring me. Trying to get answers, I came to his work, but he did everything possible to avoid meeting me, coming up with various excuses. I even started to think he had someone. This bothered me greatly. Jealousy scenes started. She was accusing me of cheating on her. We started quarreling with her, and at that moment, I realized that I was just tired of her. I stopped receiving messages from him, cried after every rejected call. I felt rejected. It seemed to me that I had lost the meaning of life. These tormented thoughts did not leave my head until my friend came to help. Camilla is a childhood friend, psychologist by profession. I told her the whole story with tears because every time I thought about Nick, I could not hold back the tears. She, realizing the essence of the problem, immediately took up my transformation, if I may call it that. Step 1. Let him miss you. I needed to stop endlessly calling him for this, and as soon as I touched the phone, Camilla immediately took it from me. I can say that I rested a little from her after constant quarrels, but it struck me that she had disappeared sharply. Already the 4th day, I even started to worry and decided to call. Step 2. Do not answer calls. I tried to reach her several times and even wrote messages, but there was no answer. Camilla forbade me to answer his calls, although I really wanted to. I clearly begged her. I think every girl who has survived such a period will understand me. Step 3. Show that you are happy without him. If we would meet, I had to show myself from the positive side, and so we set up the scene where Nick and I had to meet by chance. 2 weeks later, Lisa and I met by chance. The first thing I noticed was how much she got prettier. I saw that very cheerful, beautiful Lisa with whom I was in love again. And actually, I expected her to explain, but she just took and left. Step 4. Hold back emotions. At the meeting, I joyfully greeted him. We chatted a little, but I pretended that friends were waiting for me and left him with, "We will talk later." Honestly, I could hardly restrain myself so as not to hug him because I missed him so much. I tried several times to talk to her, but she was sending me away softly. Her behavior simply infuriated me. Have I really lost her? I thought to myself. I made bold and went to her house. Step 5. New game rules. Nick literally burst into my house. Remembering everything that I experienced, I tried not to repeat the same mistakes and spoke with the utmost restraint. The conversation was successful. We love each other, and there are many other equally important things in our life that we must remember. After that, we came to the conclusion that we will trust each other and not forget about private space. 8 years have passed since. We live happily married. Our heroine almost lost her loved one, showing unnecessary care. Sometimes girls involuntarily turn from interesting, funny, and mysterious into boring and annoying. You can't allow your relationship to become mired in everyday life. Some kind of spontaneity, a tendency to experiment, brings new colors to the relationship. Stay desired, attractive to your halves. Write in the comments, what do you think about this? Subscribe, friends, like, and don't forget to click on the bell so as not to miss new videos. Send us your stories by mail in the description.